Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Peace, love, and light, family. Welcome back. Yes. Oh, yeah. If you're new here, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. If you're new here, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. Shout out to the Instagram family. I'm on YouTube as well. Shout out to the YouTube family. Um, yes, hit subscribe, like, and share. If you are new here, welcome back. We just got 5 good minutes in of the mantra Om Mani Padme Om. Hopefully, you spent at least 20 to 30 seconds, preferably about 44 seconds of that, internally humming, right? So, internally humming, locking the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth to create a circuit, and then you hum so you can ring your bell, you can expand your resonance, and the humming creates nitric oxide, which operates in your body as an antioxidant. It is a killer of free radicals. It is a antibacterial. All things good, right? Our body has the ability to manufacture, like a pharmacy, our own quote unquote medication, medicine, for lack of a better term. Those words are so contested. So I will demonstrate one more again, right? And also, this is a methodology that you can use in real time to put you in theta wave state. So that's when your brains are in theta, you're in the zone. Things are just flowing. The frequency is, to your favor. The universe is already conspiring for your success, but you have to be in alignment to be in full receivership of everything that has already been prepackaged, planned, and presented to you today for you to take full benefit of. Why? Because you have been chosen for the grandest assignment of them all, right? And that was you 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 woke up today so you could complete and maximize the potentiality that is personally been packaged and presented for you to take off. And I'm just here directing traffic. I'm like the guy at the airport with the lights on the runway, helping the plane get into get into proper trajectory so it can ascend those chakras like Jacob's ladder. So I am your host, Pablo. This is Mineral Ministries, and this is episode 143. So we'll be starting the Gregorian calendar New Year's with our 144th episode. So that's to me is that's a profound accomplishment. But I want to appreciate 143 just as much. You know what I'm saying? So let me help. Once again, I just want to share with you this breathing methodology. So outside of this, in your every waking moment when you get up, you dig what I'm saying? You should tap into doing this to put yourself into the zone so the rest of your day can just be a layup. So we're going to pull our air in through our abdominals. Peace, God. We're going to pull the air in through our abdominals. We're going to hold that air in our stomach and our cauldron. We're gonna heat that air up by humming. That's like when you see the water on the kettle and the water gets warm, then the water gets hot, and then the water starts boiling and bubbling, and then steam is created. This is the process and the procedure of which you can tap into internal divinity, right? And fast track and get directly up Jacob's ladder to knock on the door of the upper room so they can let you in, and you be sitting at the right hand of God, right? In the cave of Golgotha, and you have experienced Christ consciousness or aspects or a level of enlightenment in real time right here. Just sitting on your arse. Sitting on your arse. You didn't even have to go to church. Why? Because you are the church. Come on now. Come on now. So we want to inhale. We want to hold it in there. We want to put the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth to lock in the circuit. And we want to hum. Whew. That was a few seconds short of 30 seconds, right? But if you took a good breath, a good full one, fill your bowl up. Your bowl being your stomach, and not everybody can get it right away because some people have, restrictions on stretching their stomach muscle. I've been doing this for a minute, so I don't want to miss that point. But do it as many times as you need to till you get something comfortable. And you probably cannot just jump out the gate and get 30 seconds, but this is where you should attempt to ultimately arrive at. Because when you get into the 30-second area, that means that you're only exhaling 2 times per minute. Automatically, you're going to be in theta, my ninja. Why? Because you are holding back oxygen from the brain. So you're depriving the brain of an aspect of oxygen that now pushes the brain into a different threshold, a different reality. You know what I'm saying? And you have commandeered to rewire and recircuit with the body consciousness, the body's consciousness. Who's in charge? Is it the mind or the body? Which has dominance in your body? Is your mind more powerful than your body? Or does your body domineer your mind? Right? Does the body make the decisions for you, or does the mind make the decisions for you? Now, how you end up answering that is going to tell me almost everything that I need to know. Right? In my body, my mind makes the decisions, and it reminds the body consistently who's in charge. And I test myself by putting myself through the fire. Right? The physical, putting this physical body through the fire, through the muck and the mire, to see and affirm with myself who has more power. Is it the mind or the body? And the mind is the master, and the mind is non-corporal, right? My mind does not physically exist on my body. I can't geolocate it, but I'm witness to its power, right? And I reaffirm that with myself, first and foremost, continuously by testing self before I get out here in these on these platforms, on these avenues, on these streets, and attempt to tell you to do the same. Yeah, so it's mind over matter, right? And it can't be in word alone. You have to be able to actualize that, because there may potentially come a time where you have to use your mind when your body wants to give up. Okay. And you would have sold yourself short. You would have short circuited your potential if you was to tap out because you thought that your body could no longer sustain, if your body could no longer keep up, if your body could no longer hold on, if your body could no longer compete, if your body can no longer show up, if your body gets tired. The mind doesn't go to sleep. The mind doesn't take a break. The mind is the mind is restless, but not to the degree where, if the body's up for certain days, it starts going cuckoo, it starts hallucinating, it starts short circuiting. Not the same could be said for the mind. The mind is the true power conduit. Do you want to live in your body, or do you want to live in your mind? Right? That is one of those rhetorical questions. But once again, and they like, man, my nigga, you know how to stretch something the way the fuck out. And it's like, nigga, all we doing is breathing and exhaling. And I'm like, that might be all you doing, right? And granted, I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm just saying there's so much more, right? And that's the beauty of a water sign. We could look in a puddle, and you can see a puddle and we can see the ocean. You feel me? You could look in a puddle and you could be like, that puddle is 1 inch deep. And I could be like, well, that puddle goes as deep as the Mariana Trench. It's my imagination, right? And my ability to supplant reality where it's best fitting for my observation. And I'm not lying to myself, and I'm not going off of a false illusion. I'm using that puddle to remind me what an ocean depths can be. If you see what I'm saying. So give yourself permission to live, y'all. And here we are at episode 143, a few days removed from the ceremony of Christmas, 3 days, right? How befitting. Um, with 3 days remaining of the year, right? What a beautiful measurement. So we get an opportunity today during episode 143. Let's look at the title. It said God is a 4-letter word, right? And his number is 26. So what do we mean by that, right? Going into the year, the calendar year 2026. What are your plans for 2026? Are you anticipating 2026? Are you excited for 2026? Do you have 2026 already charted out? Have you broken it up into quarters already? Do you know exactly? Are you intentional about what you want to do, right, with this coming calendar year of 2026? Some people might think that there's a lot of adversity that's waiting for us. Things are about to change, right? And again, if left to the system, think of the system as Saturn. The system is always going to apply pressure. Why do we think of the system as Saturn? Because Saturn is the father. The father is a disciplinarian. And another motif for Saturn is government, right? And government entails structure. So this government is being restructured, is being reorganized, and is being reconstructed, if you will, to put it on digital guardrails, right? We're being crossed over into a new reality that is one silicone based. It's a digital reality. BYTES, bits opposed to BIT, which are the bits dealing with binary. Yes, it's a reset. We're going into quantum, which is trinary, really, which is no longer the binary option of either or, but both. Superposition, right? You got to change your consciousness in order to shift into what's coming as well. The onus should not just be on the computers for singularity. What is your onus for singularity with the supreme, right? What is the onus for your singularity with the supreme? How long will it take to get you online and you synchronize your mind specifically with the divine? What is that going to take? How much exposure to this information do you need before that happens? Singularity with the supreme. Don't just put it on the machines. We're getting an opportunity to look outside of ourselves, to externalize and witness the experience of what transcendence looks like, to transcend, to move into something that is going to be transforming, where you will become transfixed. Whereas our opportunity, so what does that look like for computers? Right? The machine is transcending into transience, right? And ultimately transhumanism. So that's merging of man and machine. Whereas the melanated man is looking at transcendence, singularity with the supreme, so he could become a super sapien. You understand? And his transhumanism is not necessarily merging with machine, merging with the matriarch, right? Returning him to nature and putting him back in his messianic role. You feel me? That is what singularity with the supreme ultimately looks like. So going into 2026, if we get a base understanding, an overstanding, and an understanding that the number 26 is the number of God, how could this not be your year coming up? I don't care about midterms. I don't care about what Donald Trump is doing. I don't care about ICE. I don't care about none of this shit. I don't care about Israel. I don't care who killed Charlie Kirk, goddammit. None of that shit has a bearing ultimately on the most important decision that we need to make right now, putting motherfucking seed in soil, okay, a few days removed from the Gregorian calendar date, which is a fiscal new year, but it also is representing of a farming season. Fuck if it's the new year or not. They say the new year comes in spring. My nigga, them seeds don't pop the fuck out the ground just because you want them to, though. So new growth does not just come up from the dirt because we're so intentional or because we did such a good job last year that it's going to remediate itself. No, the job that you should be doing right now with January is still an aspect of the new year because that's when you put the seeds in the ground and you give it at least 3 months to fucking germinate. My nigga, right? It still requires work. You reap what you sow. Saturn has a sickle and he's recognized as the father of time because the sickle deals with reaping the harvest, right? And the harvest is wheat. Wheat is represented as Virgo. Virgo's represented as the woman, but she represents spring. He represents the grim reaper and the sower, though, because Saturn, dealing with Saturnalia, they would operate and understand that it was a ceremony celebrating the dead of winter. But death, why did they understand that death meant transformation? But we are traumatized by death, but we are transfixed by death, but we are spooked by death, but we, the people who call themselves black, is scared of the alchemical process of what black entails scientifically, which is the transmutation of death, turning lead into motherfucking gold. So here we are in Saturn season, in the season of Capricorn, right? Yes, in the Saturn. The urn sat on the motherfucking threshold, right? Or the pedestal. That's where you sit your urn at. The nigga that's deceased was turned to ashes, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. You sprinkle that shit on the motherfucking soil like some compost, put a goddamn seed in it, and miracles will happen. How do I know? I'm literally participating in it right now. I'm gonna share something, and I became a farmer recently, y'all. And this shit is exciting to me because it's like I get the whole opportunity to be the father that I never was. And it's so invigorating. I'm growing micro greens and sprouts and mushrooms and shit like that. And man, it's the best feeling in the world. It's the best feeling in the world. And I call upon my brothers and my sisters to join this farming movement so you can grow food where you at. I'm growing food in the dead of winter, defying all logic. You know what I'm saying? And being excited about life. I'm not going to be depressed in the winter months. I'm participating with rebirth, with transmutation and transformation. Death represents a cycle. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning things about fermentation. I'm learning things about the process of death, the whole department of death, where I got a whole different level of respect for it. I'm nowhere near spooked because it's so necessary, and life comes from that shit. Yes. So even next year for Christmas, I'm gonna have an evergreen in the crib, right? Because I understand what that celebratory process is in terms of celebrating the rebirth, right? Or the evergreen is an everlasting, it's an aspect of everlasting life, right? So YouTube, y'all is not on my Instagram. On Instagram, I'm sharing some photos with them and shit and showing them, you know, what we've been doing over here with the farmy. Shout out to the team that has made this supreme. And it didn't take no time. I started putting seeds in the dirt around the time of Saturnalia, around September 17th and 18th, unbeknownst to myself that I would be participating in this agrarian ceremony, because Saturn was known as the farmer, right? The one who sows the seeds. He puts the seeds, but he also is the reaper, the grim reaper. You know? So this is just like real dope to physically experience co-creation, you know what I'm saying? Yes, to understand scientifically these intervals of time, and to put time on the cross. What do I mean by putting time on the cross? Break it up into a season. Break time up into 4 seasons of 3 months, my nigga, quarters. You feel me? And then run that shit. Run it like a business. Run it like an operation, but run it like a cycle as well. Wheels within wheels. You feel me? And you will reap abundance by being on the cosmic wheel, by being on the cycle, as opposed to not being on it. You feel me? You always gonna run into conflict when we go against the grain. So we'll be sharing and teaching the methodology, you know what I'm saying, about how to turn your situation into a home farm, right? I got a lot of different method out in the crib, and so nobody has an excuse. It don't matter where you at or what the temperature is. It's the dead of winter where I'm at, and I'm still growing voluminous amounts of food on the daily. Stuff is sprouting and coming up. You know what I mean? It's almost nonstop, because once it starts, then it's quantum. Once you do one makes 10, then 10 makes 100, and 100 makes 1,000, and there's no looking back. And there's nothing more firm in our fixture moving forward than having food sovereignty. So if them people play with you, right? Because I saw how insecure our people got when they started talking about SNAP and pulling benefits, and you know, kicking the bucket from underneath people. I seen the nervousness. I seen what the shit looked like. And it's like, don't ever put yourself in a position like that ever again. Right? You can grow your own food, and you can grow food in abundance and now be in the food business. You could turn it into a business. The food, the plants can pay for your home. You know what I mean? And it can bring community together. And then you can empower people in your community to tap in and to get into the farming and start creating abundance. And then y'all take that surplus and you go to the businesses who want fresh produce, rather than going to Kroger's, rather than going to Sam's Clubs, rather than going to Restaurant Depot, rather than going these places and paying these inflated prices for food that's foreign to the region that people live in. You want to eat regionally. You want to eat the food that you are extracting out of the ground in real time. And as well, I've set, it's like I set up a spiritual web or a net, and I'm able to capture, you see, like this light that's coming off the wall. This is what the infrared energy coming off of the sun. If we can visualize, if we can give ourselves and allow ourselves the ability to use our imagination, my nigga, right? Let's say that what's coming off the wall is red light, right? So the sun is emitting an extreme amount of red light right now. Infrared energy is coming off the sun. Yo, I'm putting the seed in the dirt, and it should have sprouting in a day or two. And then the way that it's sprouting, the way that I'm looking at the radical nature of these particular sprouts, I know that this is dealing with the enormous energy coming off the sun, right? Or this energy coming off of 3i Atlas that's impacting the sun, because 3i Atlas is releasing hydrogen. The sun is giving sunbursts. That's plasma that's coming our way, right? And the solar winds is how we absorb it into the atmosphere. The precipitation is how it arrives to Earth. And now we got access to the information. But this solar radiation is being absorbed by these new plants, these new seeds, this new growth, these new sprouts. And when I'm eating it, That's how I'm getting the downloads. That's how I'm getting the upgrades. That's how I'm getting the abundance. That's how I'm getting the blessings, the benefactions, right? And any and all things that we should be showing up for, that we should feel entitled to on this plane of existence. Hallelujah, as God's chosen. But why? Because you chose yourself. Why did you choose yourself? You did something about food insecurity, right? You worked on that security aspect of that food insecurity, my nigga. And shout out to you. So let's get into today's presentation. Don't want to keep you waiting. This is a good one. This is definitely a good one for y'all today. Why do it be doing this to me sometimes, man? Okay, I see what it's doing. Exodus, Chronicles. No, but why? 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 Ecclesiastes. All right, y'all. I'm gonna have to put in a little bit more work than I anticipated. Purchase a composting tumbler and a raising bed to get started. Dope. Gotta eat your neutrinos, right? And for what we're going through in the winter month, melanated people in particular, we need vitamin D that we normally get from the sun that operates at specific degrees or angles, and that gives us our UVIs. We're not getting that right now. So you have to supplement that with mushrooms, edible mushrooms. We're speaking about blue oysters, lion's mane, Reiki, reishi mushrooms, things of that nature. So yeah, growing mushrooms to eat and medicinal mushrooms as well is an amazing opportunity once again to participate as a co-creator with this process of ongoing everlasting life. You know what I'm saying? And it really just, for me, it gives me a renewed interest in life itself and in the whole process and divinity and everything, nationality, right? Because an appreciation for the land, appreciation for the best part of the land. Yeah, man, all of these things to me is just invigorating and exciting. So 1228, if you're new here, we go through both books of the Bible, Old and the New Testament. We use a Gregorian calendar date, the Gregorian calendar date, and the Gregorian calendar date is 1228, right? So we're going to go to chapter 12, verse 28 as we find it throughout the book. Sometimes they don't have that. So we'll reduce the 2 and the 8 into 10, and we'll go to 12:10. And sometimes we'll do the inverse and we'll go to 28:12, as in how we'll be opening up. We'll be opening up in Genesis 28:12. So we're mirroring the 12:28. We're inverting it, and we're still looking to extract some information that can be pertinent to today's build and today's conversation. So please, yes, let's get ready. We're about to jump into this. Once again, I am your host, Pope Pablo. This is Mineral Ministries, episode 143. God is a four-letter word. And that word that word is known as a tetragrammaton, right? So this already tells you that you are in a different league and you're dealing with wizardry. So the same people that are telling you about Metatron's cube are also telling you about a tetragrammaton. Tetra meaning four, grammaton, right? So the word grammaton, what is the word? What is the four-letter word that is God? It's Yahweh. Yod had, Yod Hey Vod Hey, right? And the numerical equivalency of that, because Hebrew words are alphanumeric, which means they have numerical equivalencies. They don't have a number system, they have an alphanumeric system. So in the number frequency, or the number equal to what yod hey vod hey represents, is the number 26. 26. Okay. And if you understand that aspect of what 26 represents, right? God is a perfect square, because 26 is the only number that exists between a square and a cube, right? What do we mean by that? 5 times 5 is 25. So you get 26, right? And then you get the cube, which is 9 times 3, or 3 times 9 equals 27. So that's a cube. You feel me? 26 is the only number to exist between a square and a cube. And why is that so significant? Because God itself is explained or described as a square and a cube. And I've come along in my time and explained it as a hypercube, right? Utilizing the law of 44, which, if you look at the number 26, is just 13 plus 13. And 13 is itself 4. So God is a 44 resonator. That is Yahweh. And I am the 44 God, your host, Pablo, cooking with hot grease. So let's keep it going. Yeah, 3 squared. 3 cubed is 27. 5 squared is 25. So that's where the tetragrammaton exists. In between them is this 4-letter word, tetragrammaton, that represents the number 26. That is the composite, or the deposit, of a frequency of an entity that we know as God. Okay? If you know how to operate a cube, or work with the cube, or work with the macabre, right, then you can access this aspect of what we're speaking about in terms of God frequency, and you can travel the cosmos in your mind, in the macabre, utilizing numbers and shapes as keys, talismans, and a GPS system. Let's get into it. Genesis 28:12. Jacob's ladder, right? As we find ourselves, we were speaking a lot about Jacob's ladder leading up to this, and now here we are in the chapter starting off. Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder is the chakra system that ultimately ends up at the crown chakra, which is 144,000 petal lotus, or 12 times 12, which is 144, and will be in our 144th episode in the new year. Okay. Jacob's ladder. On reaching a certain place, he spent the night there because the sun had set. And taking one of the stones from that place, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. And Jacob had a dream about a ladder that rested on the earth, with its top reaching up to heaven. And God's angels were going up and down the ladder. And there at the top, the Lord was standing and saying, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you now lie. It went something like that. We'll do some cross references, and then we'll keep it moving. What a way to start out, right? What a way to start out. Standing at the right hand of God. Acts 7:5. This is what I told you in terms of the rhetorical or metaphysical or metaphorical explanation of what I just explained to you, the interpretation, right? Here we go. But Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit, looked intently into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. Look, he said, I see heaven open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. So we speak about the Dogon and we'd be like, damn, how did they see Sirius? And the telescope wasn't invented until X amount of time later. And they had electron telescopes and spectral telescopes and thermal telescopes. God damn it. Why nobody ever named none of them shit Stephen? Because he was standing on earth and he was able to look into heaven and see Jesus at the right side of God without a telescope. This nigga got next level remote viewing. It should be called 20/20 vision. It should be called Stephen vision, right? I want that Stephen vision. I want to be able to pierce and peek into heaven and see God sitting. Woo! 144 nerves in the brain. That's that Stephen vision, man. Right? So it's an allegory. It's an allegory. You can access God consciousness the same way by traveling up the Jacob's ladder through intense meditation until you get into Christ consciousness, which means that you pass the threshold of the 32nd vertebrae into your 33rd vertebrae, right? Whether you get there by deep meditation, by way of breathing, you're not gonna get there without breathing. You feel me? And then you pierce the veil. That's what's called pierce the veil, right? You utilize your spinal tap fluid or your crisis, your crisis fluid coming down from the coccyx or the manger all the way up into the upper room, which is your 33rd vertebrae. Knocking on the door of the upper room, they let you in. More oxygen. Once that valve at the base of your vertebrae 32 opens up, there's a valve that opens up. Yes, that prana energy, that air, that oxygen gets into the brain. What happens when the brain is exposed to more oxygen? More centers of the brain light up, right? And why is that so significant? Because we're only operating out of anywhere from 3 to 10% of the brain. But let's say that you're operating out of 50% of the brain. Now, my nigga, yeah, you are where Lucy was at in the movie. You in Christ consciousness. You are in a level of enlightenment. You have definitely transcended the basic and mundane shit that these goddamn mortals down here struggling to do. Feel me? I had an experience like that. They call it the Kundalini rising experience. And I'm not going to get into the details. You know what I'm saying? But it was extreme. It was extreme. But boy, am I in appreciation of it, because it jump started. It was the catalyst to my consciousness, and I wouldn't be here without that experience. You feel me? So I'm paying homage. I'm in such honor to have had that experience, to speak on it and to share that. You know, and I've induced it other times as well through ejaculation. I participated in that for about 9 months, and I hit a plateau where I felt like I was totally in enlightenment and Christ consciousness. I went into a Buddhist phase as well in 2003 when I first went vegan. I disavowed damn near everything, shaved my head bald, and I was meditating and for hours upon hours straight. Red to tell you, KT to tell you, right? I had a situation where red lasers came out of my eyes and knocked down KT in a meditative session. I levitated. I was doing next level shit. I got witnesses. So all of these things are accessible if we are willing to sacrifice. You feel me? If you're willing to subdue the animal part of you, which is that shit that's all jittery, that don't want us, the monkey mind, the reptilian mind. If you're willing to go to war, do battle against your own inner demons and the things that won't allow you to sit still, quiet your mind, take on that challenge and see what lies in the door on the other side of that door. You never know until you go there. The feast of the unleavened bread. Exodus 12:28. You are to reply, it is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when he struck down the Egyptians and spared our homes. Then the people bowed down and worshiped, and the Israelites went and did what the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, right? So we've been speaking on this quite extensively, week in and week out, because it keeps showing back up, right? I don't know if I want to keep speaking on it. If something shows up that I need to hit on it, then I will. But I'll do a cross reference before we move on. Maybe that will bring something up. All right, let's do this cross reference, then we'll keep it moving. Hebrews 11:28, right? By faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn will not touch Israel's own firstborn. Yeah, I'm glad that you noticed that, right? That it was my first yield was totally scorpionic, because these sprouts, they came out looking serpentine. They had like forked tongues and stuff like that. It was sprouting from the sprouts. So yeah, man. Like I said, it's the energy of the cosmos, the chaotic energy. You can see it in the way that these sprouts are sprouting. You know, it's real. It's real. It's like they're excited. It's a lot going on. All right, we're gonna skip through Leviticus. Numbers 12. All right, there's no 12:28 in Numbers, but we'll go to 12:10. Okay, the murmuring of Miriam and Aaron. Numbers 12:10. So the anger of the Lord burnt against them, and he departed. As the cloud lifted from above the tent, suddenly Miriam became leprous, white as snow. Aaron turned towards her, saw that she was leprous, and said to Moses, my Lord, please do not hold against us this sin we have so foolishly committed. Right? Let's do a cross reference. 2 Chronicles 26:19. Uzziah, with the censer in his hand to offer incense, was enraged, but while he raged against the priests in their presence in the house of the Lord before the altar of incense, leprosy broke out on his forehead. When Azariah, the chief priest, and all the priests turned to him and saw his leprous forehead, they rushed him out. Indeed, he himself hurried to get out, because the Lord had afflicted him. So King Uzziah was a leper until the day of his death. He lived in isolation, leprous and cut off from the house of the Lord, while his son Jotham had charge of the royal palace and governed the people of the land. So when they're speaking about or we're watching the myth making machine make martyrs out of mortal men. We're watching it with Charlie Kirk take place in real time. So we understand the importance of lore, right? The appeal of mythos, the appeal of fictionalizing factualities. We're literally bearing witness to it in real time. Like if you can't make sense of what's taking place in the Bible, you can just pull a seat up and look right now in society and see how they myth make, right? See how they utilize in real time the making of a martyr. If we were to be as egregious as them and as foul as them, right? Then we would lean on this whole aspect of the equation of white skin or leprosy being equated with sin, being equated with judgment, being equated being not in the favor of the Most High, which is always why I say that you have to understand that the people who they're speaking about in this book have to be melanated. I'm not even saying that they're they're not FBAs, they're not Aboriginal Indigenous, they're indigenous and melanated from some region or somewhere, right? But the cosmic covenant that we all share is this melanin, this cosmic covenant, this favoring of us being children of the sun, the SUN, which is the life giver and the life bearer and the sustainer on this plane of existence of physical life. The spiritual life, all praises due to the Most High God. The architecture of the universe to put the plan in motion and spun the wheel, most praises to the Most High, the grand architect of it all. But he has portion and position that star that gives life. Feel me? And the people who have evidence to show that they have been here since the beginning of time and have been in favor of the Father of the people who are able, like the plants, to absorb that light and make fuel, energy, food, right? And be inspired to create, right? So I won't even lean too deep into the leprosy thing. I have, I want to show compassion if I can, to be like, God damn, if I was in that situation, I would be mad at life too, more than likely. Right? If I didn't have a great relationship with the sun, I would want to destroy the planet. Nigga, if I was born as a Caucasian, I would be you niggas' worst nightmare. Right? So you have to understand perspectives. And that formulates an entire different psychology than the one that you've been endowed with. Now, you are supplanting your psychology to adopt somebody else's, but you were not born in a Nordic region. You didn't have to grow up chasing food in order to eat. You didn't have this, unless you grew up in New York. Yeah, we had a very acrimonious relationship with God because of wintertime. Right? Like, nigga, how could you do this to us? And then we took it out on our parents, and then we went outside in the street and took it out on one another. Look at it in Detroit. Look at it in Chicago. They say that they're, the places where when it gets hot, they say, yeah, it should be kicking off and niggas be acting up. Nigga, the places where it's cold as fuck, niggas do not be in their right mind, right? Because that ain't us. You don't feed a gorilla what you got for a polar bear, as Sabi would say. So let's move on. Let's move on. Yes, you just gotta be, you gotta give your blessings, that you're not an Iceman. You know what I'm saying? The Iceman inheritance is not something that caught up to you. I have to be thankful every day of that. I have to be in gratitude every day that I have been favored enough that, I got the cheat code. I'm not at the bottom. I'm at the top. I got to make the best of the situation. And the people around me that's hating because they don't have this blessing, they're not going to make it any more easier for me because they're the ones that are now in control of the mirrors, my nigga. Right? They're the ones in control of the mirrors. And they got us looking at ourselves through a cracked mirror. How do I know? Because Nicki Minaj had to get the fuck up there on stage and make excuses for melanated people's beauty standards, because we have been shown to Erica Kirks all our motherfucking lives, right? And they have been marketing that aspect of quote unquote Americana to us, packaging this whole aspect that beauty could only be in blonde hair and blue eyes. So the fucking nerve, the nerve, the nerve. If it's anybody on the planet, this should not have fucking said that. It's the person whose career was dedicated to making other people plastic and calling them Barbies, which is a blonde hair, waifed plastic model version of a beauty standard, right, that has stir-fried the consciousness of little black girls since their introduction because they did not incorporate our image initially into their play of plastic. And we fought to get into a plastic home, and now the only thing that we have is fucking plastic people. And why do I know that it's such a prominent thing that is not to be overlooked? Because when they had the mentality of them plastic, they went ahead and made them plastic. How did they do that? By creating GMO seeds. What does a GMO seed do? A GMO seed has two personalities. Two personalities. And if you look out and look on the community of Black America, right? Moors, you might want to sit this one out, right? Let's say you're Moorish women too, because you niggas always want to be part of the conversation. Pull a fucking chair up. Let me get you up in here too, okay? What does these Moorish women become? They're eating GMO seeds, so now they are genetically modified organisms. A GMO seed has two characteristics, right? It's a terminator seed. So it don't reproduce after it produces its first yield. And it's resistant to weather, right? So whereas where my generation, we needed sheepskins, we needed shearlings, we needed furs, my nigga. And it was buttoned up. We had North Faces, my nigga, right? We had Bubble Gooses, my nigga. We had Triple Fast, my nigga. You wasn't stunting to the degree, nigga, when it was 20 and 30 degrees outside, you zipped them shits up. You zipped them up, right? Why am I seeing these young girls to this day? To this day, my nigga, it be 30 degrees outside. They got their belly button showing. They are impervious to cold weather. The young brothers amongst them, think about this, and I'm not taking shots. When they were sagging and I was hustling in Harlem, right, on 125th Street in front of the Apollo, this is where I got to see all of this in real time, where a nigga can't argue with me about what I know. I watched the dynamic of this shit happen. So during the rise of Nicki Minaj and Dipset, this was 2005 to 2007, these young girls would be outside and they jackets, they got thin jackets on in 20 and 30 degree weather. They don't even got the gooses no more. If they did have the goose, the shit would be open and they got their skin showing, right? The young men is sagging. If you know anything about the testicles regulate the heat in your body. How could you have cold hit air hitting your regulators, nigga? How can the cold air be hitting your regulators and it don't scare you enough? It put a fucking shiver up our back, nigga. You wouldn't be the same. You would feel like you was possessed by a spirit if Jack Frost got in through your you know, in the lower regions. If you got cold air through there trapped in your body, my nigga, you would be finished, right? These niggas be sagging in cold weather with their extremities exposed. Young girls be having their neither regions exposed. And then they have seeds. I seen this in Harlem. They would be pushing strollers with the babies in it. And then the woman got another woman as the boyfriend. And the woman that's with her is the stud. She's what they call an AG. The ones that look like Lil Wayne during that time as well. They had the dreads and shit. I'm not taking shots. I'm just making these observations. So my observation was that the people, the children that have been fed formula, Similac, fast food, Cheetos and shit like that, they became GMO people, genetically modified people. So when Nicki put the call out for them to identify as plastic, as Barbies, they showed up in flock to a degree where she still to this day has an online community of them called Barbs. And these people have become the vitriol of the online community where they have a level, an seated aspect of hatred so much that they will burn some shit down on any corner of the internet when they would direct that energy towards it, as if this shit was a mercenary hit squad. So Nicki Minaj, of all people, should be the last one to speak about beauty standards as they apply to melanated women loving themselves. She put on the purple wig. She put on the blonde wig. She put on the fucking eye contacts. She changed her nose. She augmented her body to fit into the beauty standards. And it started with Little Kim, and Little Kim said, look, I didn't get the love from my father that I needed. The niggas who I loved beat up on me and told me that I wasn't pretty enough, right? Because they had westernized beauty standards that they also were acquiesced to. How do we know? How do we know? Look at the niggas, right? What did the money cash hoes era become? She was talking about niggas like Big and Puff and World and other people in the street that she encountered. There's no more self-loathing that you will find with a nigga who's sitting on top of the nigga dominant hierarchy because he had to do some hella niggerish shit to get up there. And that includes self-hatred, self-destruction. You had to be the best at it, right? And Biggie made a soundtrack for it. I haven't spoken on it yet, so I just had to get that off of my chest. Deuteronomy. Damn, we only in Deuteronomy. 12:28. One place for worship. Present the meat and blood of your burnt off. Yo, a black Israelites to the front, please. I've been doing this too much. I need to speak to somebody that's part of the congregation. Because somebody DM to Zariak, somebody from the Hebrew Israelite movement of esteem, can you pull up, please? I got questions. We need to talk. Because these are still sacrifices that are being made. Burnt offerings. The etymology of Holocaust means burnt offerings. Present the meat and blood of your burnt offerings on the altar. And this is what they do for Moloch, right? This is what they do for their gods. This is what they do for Baal. These are Babylonian rites and rituals. So will the Black Hebrews please come to the front of the building? I need to talk to you about Ur of Chaldea, right? I need to talk to you about Abram, who becomes Abraham, who was a Babylonian. I need to talk to you about these customs and traditions. I need to ask you about the Talmud. Do you niggas ascribe to that? And if you don't, what do you ascribe to? And why are you letting these people jack your shit then? You need to be a little bit more aggressive. You see how they going out. Yeah, somebody hit it on it. They gave us free porn in 07 to promote white women MILFs. More propaganda. It's known that when we, I'm not proselytizing, man. Let me keep moving. Just know that when we set up shop in Harlem in 05 and 07 on 125th Street, there were several things that we came there to do. But one of the main things, we were fighting the smut on 125th Street that was everywhere on the ground, right? When we came to 125th Street, that was the change that we intended on. That was the change that I feel that we enacted. And that wasn't, so that ain't had nothing to do with that. That was me. That was Red and other people that I could recruit into like some moral shit. Well, I'm like, there's no way that this is our merchant thoroughfare, and it's smut is everywhere. And then they had the pictures of the cartoon characters doing drugs. This was during the Dipset era. I fought against all of that personally, right? Personally, I would give bread to the DVD bootleggers not to have the smut on the ground. I would give them jobs. I would show them different ways to hustle and different things to do so they wouldn't sell smut to our people. And we folded a few niggas up. This is the reason that I had to fight with the NYPD on 125th in front of the Apollo, because of my relationship with the DVD bootleggers, and the fact that they did things for me that I asked for them when it came to, yo, cover that smut up, man. Or at least if you're gonna show it, don't show it during this time when the children is out here. It was smut everywhere. So I felt compelled to go to bat for these individuals, and that's how I ended up having this fight with the NYPD. 8 of them. And I handled it. The blood of your other sacrifices must be poured out besides the altar of the Lord your God, but you may eat the meat. Pause. Be careful to obey all of these things I command you, so that it may always go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is good and right in the eyes of the Lord your God, right? And if you don't, then he's on your helmet. That sounds like a transactional relationship, my nigga. You feel me? You got them people feeding you blood and guts to stay in your good favor, and they got to teach their children to do the same thing, because the minute that they stop, here you go. James 1:22, be doers of the word and not hearers only. Be doers of the word and not hearers only. Otherwise, you are deceiving yourselves. For anyone who hears the word but does not carry it out is like a man who looks at his face in the mirror and after observing himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. I'm going to say this again. Be doers of the word and not hearers only. Otherwise, you are deceiving yourselves. For anyone who hears the word but does not carry it out is like a man who looks at his face in the mirror and after observing himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. Right? Hold the charge. Don't just create the spark. Hold the charge. Feel me? Do the work. That's where the blessings come from. The magic is in the momentum. You should be moving. You should be doing the work. Feel me? The reward will find you. The reward will find you. Hebrews 4:12, for the word of God is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It pierces even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and intentions of the heart. Right? For the logos, for the word, right? Because God himself is a 4-letter word, a tetragrammaton called Yahweh, whose number is 26, who is a war god, who is represented as a cube. That part. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You're not going to get too far, but go ahead. Prove me wrong. Judges 12:10, Ibzan, Elon, and Abdon. Ibzan, Elon, and Abdon. He had 30 sons as well as 30 daughters, whom he gave in marriage to men outside his clan. And for his sons, he brought back 30 wives from elsewhere. Ibzan judged Israel 7 years. Then Ibzan died and he was buried in Bethlehem. After Ibzan, Elon, the Zebulunite, judged Israel 10 years. There go Elon in the Bible, right? Find him in Judges, as Elon has assumed the role of the judge of the poor, the needy, right? The people who Christ shows up for. Here Elon goes bullying them in 2025 with the Doge shit, right? The richest man on the planet stepping on poor people, cutting their funding off and killing haphazardly, vicariously, unaliving hundreds of thousands of children by doing away with the USAID. Is this your king? These are your heroes? Huh? Judges 2:16. Then the Lord raised up judges who saved them from the hands of those who plundered them, right? He's plundering the treasuries, plundering their records. He's plundering, right? The relationship that the government has with the children of the Most High. And there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. So these children of the Creator, these children of the Most High, these subjects of Christ, if you will, if this is a Christian nation, right, should not be subjugated to the judgment of an unofficial government official such as Elon Musk. However, then the Lord raised up judges who saved them from the hands of those who plundered them. Israel, however, did not listen to their judges. Instead, they prostituted themselves with other gods and bowed down to them. They quickly turned from the way of their fathers who had walked in obedience to the Lord's commandments. They did not do as their fathers had done. Now, is Elon doing as his father has done? Right? What if he's being in strict coherence? What if he is being in obedience? What if he is fulfilling his mandate by doing the things that his father has done? Whenever the Lord raised up a judge for the Israelites, he was with that judge and saved them from the hands of their enemies while the judge was still alive. For the Lord was moved to pity by their groaning under those who oppressed them and afflicted them. So our people, melanated people, whatever they call themselves today, right, are mad at a deific force. They're mad at deity. They're mad at the Creator. They're mad at these concepts of what these entities represent because they said that they did not respond in due time to their cries of affliction and the pain and suffering under oppression. It's going down. It's going down. All right? It's going down. So, you know, and again, the vocation, the ability, the permission to judge carries such a heavy weight because, you know, only God should judge. I wholeheartedly believe that. You know what I'm saying? When you put that power into the hands of mere mortals with agendas who can be compromised, you know, the power of a gavel is a powerful thing to have, to yield that amount of power and to abuse it. Oh man, that's not cool at all. I have seen many of people destroyed and damaged and destitute because of the, you know, the yielding of power by someone that's undeserving of it. No man should have the ability to stand over you as your judge. And you should not fall into this prison planet and attempt to judge somebody else. You don't have the right. Don't have the right to operate as judge, jury, and executioner. Only of your own affairs. Man, know thyself. From the cradle to the grave. It's an ongoing process. Some of us have come here repetitive lifetimes to figure this shit out. What I look like judging somebody else? I don't know you, nigga. Saul and the medium of Endor, 1 Samuel's 28:12. We're going to invert it. Whom shall I bring up for you? The women asked. Bring up Samuel, he replied. But when the women saw Samuel, she cried out in a loud voice and said to Saul, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. Do not be afraid, the king replied. What do you see? I see a God coming up out of the earth, the woman answered. Oh, talking that talk. They talking that talk. Deuteronomy 18:10. Let no one be found amongst you who sacrifices his son or daughter in the fire, practices divination or conjury, interprets omens, practices sorcery, casts spells, consults a medium or spiritist, or inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is detestable to the Lord. And because of these detestable things, the Lord your God is driving out the nations before you. 2 Samuel right? And everybody has a lot of reckoning to do in that regard because there's there's damn near nobody's left that's not participating with somebody else's ceremonial rituals or things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Look, I think that this is the appropriate time. I be doing it at the end of class, and y'all just don't be respecting this shit enough. You know what I'm saying? You can make a tithe or a donation to these ministries. I'm gonna put the information on the screen right now because I know this shit fire. You know what I'm saying? I know this shit fire. It deserves some love. Why not? What else do we got to give? What else do we got to give? So I'm gonna just post that there while I get into this because I don't be I wait to the end of shit and y'all just you know what I'm saying? Y'all be like, all right, whatever. So I'm gonna just leave that there. Let me get back into this. 2 Samuel's 12:28, the capture of Rabbah. Then Joab sent messengers to David to say, I have fought against Rabbah and have captured the water supply of the city. Now, therefore, assemble the rest of the troops, lay siege to the city and capture it. Otherwise, I will capture the city and it will be named after me. So David assembled all the troops and went to Rabbah and he fought against it and captured it. It's like, who you doing this for? You gonna name it after you? How, Sway? That sounds very egotistical. That sounds like a man's whose head is totally inflamed to think that this shit got something to do with them. 1 Samuel's 18:25 as a cross reference. Saul replied, say to David, the king desires no other dowry but 100 Philistine foreskins as revenge on his enemies. God damn. You know how they get foreskins, right? That comes from circumcision. So they're speaking about running down on niggas' babies, they newborns, and he wants as a payment. So these people are they're ghastly, right? Where's divinity in this? Where's God in this? Men are speaking about the things that they need in terms of the shit. Put this on my altar to appease me. Where's the divinity in that? Where's the community in that? Where are these people showing up as vessels for for the four-letter God? Who is a war of God? I'm a God of wars. Let's keep that clear as well. When we say the God is a four-letter word, and that word is Yahweh, Yahweh is known as the God of war, right? Whereas Jesus is known as the Prince of Peace. So all through the Old Testament, we're reading about these conquests of these war conquests, right? And how war pits men against one another on the battlefield, and there's a aggrandizing aspect that goes to it because imagine the power of defeating you got 300 men but you just defeated 3,000 of them. Yeah, you feel endowed by the powers of divine, but the shit goes to your head, goes to your head, and it's going to turn you out. So Saul replied, say to David, the king desires no other dowry but 100 Philistine foreskins as revenge on his enemies. But Saul intended to cause David's death at the hands of the Philistines. When the servants reported these terms to David, he was pleased to become the king's son in law. Before the wedding day arrived, David and his men went out and killed 200 Philistines. He brought their foreskins and presented them as payments in full to become the king's son in law. Then Saul gave his daughter Michal to David in marriage. Damn. So he killed 200 of them, whopped their joints off, and brought it back to the king as a dowry. Yeah, these niggas was different. 1 King 12:28, Jeroboam's idolatry. Right? Y'all all right? All right. let's get to this. Jeroboam's idolatry. If these people go up to offer sacrifices in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, Jesus Christ, their hearts will return to their Lord, Rehoboam, king of Judah. Then they will kill me and return to Rehoboam, king of Judah. After seeking advice, the king made 2 golden calves and said to the people, going up to Jerusalem is too much for you. Here, O Israel, are your gods who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. 1 calf he set up in Bethel and the other in Dan. Right? So here they go, falling back into the Babylonian traditions of casting these golden calves as quote unquote paying homage to Baal and Moloch, right? Because these Babylonian traditions seemed entrenched in the people whose father himself comes from Ur of Chaldea, which is in Babylon. And only thing that he knew was those customs and traditions that he was exposed to. So they get up in Kemet and cause a fuss about these people that are observing a way that was taught to them by their forefathers, but they're being chastised from God for saying that they're not following the ways of their fathers. My nigga, it's a mind fuck. And yeah, so at the top of the year, I finally, yes, I want to sit down with some esteemed Hebrew Israelite scholars, and I have 1,000,001 questions, right? And I'm not being facetious. I really think that it's time to clear the air and get some answers, so I can be a better servant. I could be a better host. Feel me? 1 Kings 12:28. Okay, we did that. We're looking for a cross reference. Hosea 8:4. They set up kings, but not by me, right? So who again, yeah, like who's approving all of these kings? They set up kings, but not by me. They make princes, but without my approval. With their silver and gold, they make themselves idols to their own destruction. He has rejected your calf, O Samaria. My anger burns against them. How long will they be incapable of innocence? For this thing is from Israel, a craftsman made it. It is not God. It will be broken to pieces, that calf of Samaria. One day I might get into showing and proving how the majority of these Babylonian traditions have survived in quote unquote modern day Israel. How you can go there and see Moloch and Baal and temples, Babylonian shit all around that place, all through there. 2 Kings 12:10. There's no 12:28, so we'll reduce it into 12:10. Joash repairs the temple. Then Joiada, the priest, took a chest, bored a hole in its lid, and set it beside the altar on the right side as one enters the house of the Lord. There the priest who guarded the threshold put all of the money brought into the house of the Lord. Whenever they saw that there was a large amount of money in the chest, the royal scribe and the high priest would go up, count the money brought into the house of the Lord, and tie it up in bags. Then they would put the counted money into the hands of those who supervised the work on the house of the Lord, who in turn would pay those doing the work, the carpenters and the builders. Right? So in order to finish the furnishing of the temple of God or what have you, they was passing the plate. They was passing the plate, my nigga, right? And they were filling up their treasuries, and they used that bread in order to pay the people who were working on construction. Or so they say. Do you got accounting records, my nigga? Can we see that? You feel me? Because that bread was a lot around a lot of people that was double dipping. Yeah, they're going ape shit, and I'm not being facetious. I'm not being I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not any of them things. I'm not a hater, right? I don't even hate the game, my nigga. Like it's just too much evidence, and it's sitting there in plain sight for people to interpret, to understand symbolism, or know what they're looking at that are not transfixed by the spell. It's right there, right? These people are openly operating, you feel me, in full homage to other entities and deities that they're feeding with these campaigns that they are engaged in. And they, I feel, a permanent host for Babylonian energy, um, that are masquerading as the Jews of today, but they're definitely Babylonians, or what they call the synagogue of Satan, right? And that's what all of that Jeffrey, the Epstein file, all of this stuff, that's all of that stuff is pointing to, because that temple on St. James Island is a replica of a Babylonian temple. That is a Moloch temple. That is what these people was doing. I've been to Bohemian Grove. I've been there physically. Like, I've not during the ceremony, of course, but I went to that shit. Right? It's in the forest in what's that? Right outside of Oakland, Marion County, where Pac used to live. We got beat up by the police. I've been to that forest. I've been to the Redwood Forest out there. And I seen the goddamn, they got a placard on the side that shows the goddamn owl, my nigga. Like, and people showing up for the ceremony. It's like, come on, what are we talking about here? You in denial, right? You think that these people are the most faithful on the planet? The people that make up these priesthoods, the people that make up the power elite, right? They're the ones that are sowing the most benefaction back into this planet with their largesse and their large hearts, right? You believe that? All right, we'll keep it moving. We cleared to 2 Kings 12:10. Let's see what Chronicles got for us real quick. All right. Chronicles 12:28. David's army grows at Hebron. Okay. Including Joadiah, leader of the house of Aaron, with 3,700 men, and Zadok, a mighty young man of valor, with 22 commanders from his own family, from Benjamin, the kinsman of Saul, 3,000, most of whom have remained loyal to the house of Saul up until that time. So they're coalition building, right? They're building a troop of army, and they're pulling bodies from different families and different clans and tribes. Offer us your sons to war. Okay? Because we're about to go put in some work. All right. We'll do a cross reference real quick before we move on. We'll do a cross reference real quick, like 1 Kings 2:32. All right. The Lord will bring his bloodshed back upon his own head, for without the knowledge of my father David, he struck down 2 men more righteous and better than he when he put to the sword Abner, son of Ner, commander of Israel's army, and Amasa, son of Jether, commander of Judah's army. Their blood will come back upon the heads of Joab and his descendants forever. But for David, his descendants, his house, and his throne, there shall be peace from the Lord forever. Right? Selah. When have we known peace to visit the heads of the house of these particular peoples? I see what's going. Let me not even get into that bag. Two Chronicles 12:10. Egypt plunders Jerusalem. So King Shishak of Egypt attacked Jerusalem and seized the treasures of the house of the Lord and the royal palace. He took everything, including the gold shields that Solomon had made. Then King Rehoboam made bronze shields in their place and committed them to the care of the captains of the guard on duty at the entrance to the royal palace. And whenever the king entered the house of the Lord, the guards would go with him bearing the shields, and later they would return them to the guard room. Right? So he got sacked. 2 Chronicles 9:15. Right? King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of hammered gold went into each shield. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold. 300 shekels of gold went into each shield. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. All right. Ezra. There's nothing for Ezra. Nehemiah. Let's go to Nehemiah real quick. Take a trip down Nehemiah real quick. Nehemiah 12:28. The dedication of the wall. At the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, the Levites were sought out from all their homes and brought to Jerusalem to celebrate the joyous dedication with thanksgiving and singing, accompanied by cymbals, harps, and lyres. The singers were also assembled from the region around Jerusalem, from the villages of the Netophathites, from Beth Gilgal, and from the fields of Geba and Asmaveth, for they had built villages for themselves around Jerusalem. I'm gonna keep it moving. Yes. Love Purple, drop the link. If you had a post, you could DM it to me and I'll share it on my page. I'll share it on my stories. That would probably be better. Let's go to Job. I don't think Job got one. Job only goes to the 25th, but Job got a 28, but it's 28 short. Was that it? No. Let's go 28:12. Job, where can wisdom be found? He stops up he stops up the sources of the stream to bring what is hidden to light. But where can wisdom be found, and where does understanding dwell? No man can know its value, nor is it found in the land of the living. No man can know its value, nor is it found in the land of the living, right? So they had a tree of knowledge, right? They had a tree of knowledge that was physical, but there's no tree of wisdom. Because wisdom is untangible. You know what I'm saying? Wisdom is the actual active principle of knowledge. It's about you doing the work, right? Whereas knowledge can be found, wisdom can only be seen and felt. Well, wisdom can only be seen through the work, so it can only be felt. We'll do a cross reference and then we'll keep it moving. Proverbs 4:5. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will guard you. Wisdom is supreme, so acquire wisdom. And whatever you may acquire, gain understanding, right? So you have to do the work. You have to activate the principle to actually put your foot in the water and step in, step into the deep. Let it get past your knees, my nigga. Get out there. You feel me? It's awaiting you, but it will reward you. Right? What you're not gonna do is not do nothing. That's just whack. Um, there's no Psalms 12:10. There's no Psalms 12:28. There's no Psalms 28:12. So we'll do Psalms 12:1. Right? The godly are no more. That's how they start that out. The godly are no more. Okay? The godly are no more. For the choir master, according to Simoneth, a psalm of David, help, O Lord, for the godly are no more. The faithful have vanished from amongst men. They lie to one another. They speak with flattering lips and a double heart. Let's keep going. Hold on, let's see what else they got to say about this. May the Lord cut off all flattering lips and every boastful tongue. May the Lord cut off all flattering lips and every boastful tongue. They say, with our tongues we will prevail, with our own lips. Who can be our master? Woo! See, they talking that talk. You've been furnished with the lips for you to come down here and talk smack against the very creator who gave you the motherfucking bless, who gave you the flute, my nigga. And this is the air that you're gonna blow through that flute is gonna be against the one who furnished you with the fucking lips for you to formulate the words to speak blasphemy. That's doing a lot. That's doing a lot. And that's where we have found ourselves at in terms of humanity. The nerve of you niggas, i.e., the nerve of you niggas. They say, with our tongues we will prevail. We own our lips. Who can be our master? He said, we own our lips. Who can be our master? For the cause of the oppressed and for the groaning of the needy, I will now arise, says the Lord. I will bring safety to him who yearns. Feel me? So they want you guys to be good guys. And there's a gift that awaits for you. Want some Santa Claus shit, right? On the other side of 1225, under that tree, there's a gift that awaits you if you was nice and not naughty. And you obeyed authorities, shit like that. Proverbs 12:28, loving discipline and knowledge. A lazy man does not roast his game, but a diligent man prizes his possession. There is life in the path of righteousness, but another path leads to death. Right? There is life in the path of righteousness, but another path leads to death. I could go for that. I could go for that. We could sum it up and generalize it. You know what I'm saying? Romans 6:22 is a cross reference before we keep it pushing. But now that you have been set free from sin and have become slaves to God, the fruit you reap leads to holiness, and the outcome is eternal life. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. Ecclesiastes 12:10. The fear of God is utmost. Not only was the teacher wise, but he also taught the people knowledge. He pondered, searched out, and arranged many proverbs. The teacher searched to find delightful sayings and to record accurate words of truth. The words of the wise are like golds, and the anthologies of the masters are like firmly embedded nails driven by a single shepherd. I mean, this is some beautiful poetry, y'all. This is some beautiful poetry, man. Jeremiah 23:28. Let the prophet who has a dream retell it, but let him who has my word speak it truthfully. For what is straw compared to grain, declares the Lord? Is not my word like fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that smashes a rock? So you got the God who is a four-letter word, who started creation with the word or the logos. You feel me? It was more like sound and vibration rather than a physical word per se. But existence and reality also starts with the word. All right. Let there be light. Let there be light. In the beginning was the word. So and that's called Beresheth. Shout out to Kabbalah god A. Rashid, as he would explain and teach the numerical equivalency of the beginning of the Bible is 911. So numerically, the words in the beginning, right, Beresheth equals 911. So the Bible starts out with a numerical frequency of 911. That's deep. Judgment of Ephraim. Indeed, with mocking lips and foreign tongues, he will speak to this people, to whom he has said, this is the place of rest, let the weary rest. This is the place of repose, but they would not listen. Then the word of the Lord to them will become order on order, order on order, line on line, line on line, a little here, a little there, so that they will go stumbling backwards and will be injured, ensnared, and captured. Hmm. Yes, Marin County, Marin County. That's where I went, to the Redwood Forest, and the Bohemian Grove is right there inside of the forest with a placard. And that forest is different. Hebrew 4:1. Therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us be careful that none of you be deemed to have fallen short of it. For we also received the good news just as they did, but the message they heard was of no value to them, since they did not share the faith of those who comprehended. Now we who have believed enter that rest. As for the others, it is just as God has said, so I swore on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest. And yet his works have been finished since the foundation of the world. See, herein lies the problem. His work has been finished since the foundation of the world. So they're saying that all of this was premeditated, all of this has been pre-planned, all of this has already been projected, and we're just playing it out. I would say that can't be the case, right? Because as we have been convinced that God is omnipotent and omnipotent, he also obviously makes mistakes because he continuously, according to scripture, according to the narrative, if we follow the text, he's scraping shit and redoing it, right, until he gets it right because he did not have it right. Henceforth, that he made Shaitan like he proved his point in Genesis, my nigga, from the door, from the gate, right away, matter of fact, with the original sin. If we ought to follow, right, the interpretation of the narrative that's in front of us, Jeremiah 12:10, God's answer to Jeremiah, it is not my inheritance to me like a speckled bird of prey. Is not my inheritance to me like a speckled bird of prey with other birds of prey circling against her? Go gather all of the beasts of the field, bring them to devour her. Many shepherds have destroyed my vineyard. They have trampled my plot of ground. They have turned my pleasant field into a desolate wasteland. They have made it a desolation, desolate before me. It mourns, and the land is laid waste, but no man takes it to heart. Right? We have to have the same level of reverence, the same level of appreciation, the same level of preparation, the same level of preference for pieces of land as we do for cars, wardrobes, right? Materialistic shit, drip. Okay. Where's the preference that we have for land that yields, that actually provides, that nourishes, that gives us food, clothing, and shelter? When are we prioritizing that land? right? They don't make new land. Isaiah 56:9. Before we move on, come, all you beasts of the field, eat greedily, all you beasts of the forest. Israel's watchmen are blind. They are all oblivious. They are all mute dogs. They cannot bark. They are dreamers lying around, loving to slumber. Like ravenous dogs, they are never satisfied. They are shepherds with no discernment. They all turn to their own way, each one seeking his own gains. Let's go to Ezekiel. Y'all all right? We're almost there. Ezekiel 12:28, the presumptuous proverb. Son of man, take note that the house of Israel is saying, the vision that he sees is for many years from now. He prophesies about the distant future. Therefore, tell them that this is what the Lord God says. None of my words will be delayed any longer. The message I speak will be fulfilled, declares the Lord God. Now, those are one of those power proverbs. These are one of those verses that you should write down. These are one of those verses that you should keep with you. These are one of those verses that you should put on the end of a proclamation that you're making to proclaim it. These are one of those. These are one of them. We come across ones that we need to write down and keep with us very near and dear. This is one of them ones. When you finish something, put that extra swang, that stank on it, and be like Ezekiel 12:28, rather than you be like, on God, or my word is, or what have you. Just make a proclamation for your proclamation. Ezekiel 12:28. Okay. And what is that? I'll read the whole thing. I'll read 12:27 to 12:28. Right? Put that stank down on your proclamations when you be writing them. So when you make your New Year's resolutions and shit like that, right? And you put your word on it, you put your logos on it, and we are once again coming to a full understanding with the fact that God is a four-letter word, right? So the word is important. Everything started with the word, right? Here we are speaking on the word. So your words to you that you speak out of your mouth are tethered to you. You're bonded to them because words are worlds. So you're responsible for the worlds that you create. Feel me? Son of man, take note that the house of Israel is saying the vision that he sees is for many years from now. He prophesies about the distant future. Therefore, tell them that this is what the Lord God says. None of my words will be delayed any longer. The message I speak will be fulfilled, declares the Lord God. Yeah, so that's one of them. Ezekiel 12:28. Just write that down, right? And let it work for you. And let it work for you. Numbers 23:19. God is not a man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind. Does he speak and not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? Maybe this should be a challenge to us. What prayers, what proclamations, what murmurings have you put out that have been unanswered or unfulfilled? Right? Are you living at a space in your particular life at this particular time when there are unanswered prayers, when there's still things that you're looking to achieve that have not yet solidified themselves, right? Maybe that should be your focus going into 2026, 26 being the number of God. So this is the God year, bar none, bar none, right? Do you need any excuses? Do you need permissions? Michael's deliverance in the end times. This is Daniel 12:10. Go on your way, Daniel, he replied, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end, right? Many will be purified, made spotless and refined, but the wicked will continue to act wickedly. None of the wicked will understand, but the wise will understand. And from the time the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation set up, there will be 1,290 days. Right? One day we'll really unpack that and walk through it. Today's not that day, but one day we'll get into those numerics. Matthew 13:41, and we'll keep it moving. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out his kingdom every cause of sin and all who practice lawlessness. And they will throw them into the fiery furnace where they will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear. Ugh. He who has ears, let him hear. All right, let's Hosea. We gotta get into the New Testament. This is clock is ticking. 12:10. A reproof of Ephraim, Judah, and Jacob. But I am the Lord your God ever since the land of Egypt. Ever since the land of Egypt? So you wasn't the Lord their God before Egypt? This is how you met your people, my nigga, in the Red Sea crossing the desert? Got to be more careful, man. I will again make you dwell in tents as in the days of the appointed feasts. I spoke through the prophets and multiplied their visions. I gave parables through the prophets. Is there iniquity in Gilead? They will surely come to nothing. Do they sacrifice bulls in Gilgal? Indeed, their altars will be heaps of stones in the furrows of the fields. Right? So, there God go again, talking that sassy, talking that talk. God damn it. Hold on. Maybe I shouldn't talk crazy about God. Threw my whole phone down. Cracked the screen and everything. Right? I'm just saying, big homie, you know what it is. The big homie be in his feelings, my nigga. Talk about the big homie the wrong way. The big homie be in his feelings. Feel me? Once again, the power of the word. Right? The power of the word. There we go. Whew. Let's keep it moving. I gotta get in the New Testament. Let's go to Zephaniah. We're gonna check and see if Zephaniah got anything. No. Right? Zephaniah don't got nothing. What about Zechariah? Let's see what Zechariah got. Zephaniah ain't had nothing for us. Let's see what Zechariah got. Zechariah got a 12, 12:10. Mourning the one they pierced. Right? Then I will pour out on the house of David and on the people of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and prayer, and they will look at me, the one that they have pierced. They will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son. On that day, the wailing in Jerusalem will be as great as the wailing of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. All right. Matthews. All right, we in it now. 12:28 Matthew. Let's get through there, y'all. House divided. Give me a second. Jeez. House divided. And if I drive out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. For again, how can anyone enter a strong man's house and steal his possessions unless he first ties up the strong man? Then he can plunder his house. So we know what that parable is hitting for. Do you get it? Right? Is that was some deep shit. Right? And if I drive out demons by Beelzebub, by the devil, by whom do your sons drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. Right? So they're like, you're contracting, right, with lower entities to drive out lesser gods or what have you, you know, but you can just surrender yourself to the supreme authority of it all. You dig what I'm saying? And all glory be to God. Now I've participated in exorcisms before, so I'm not making fun of them. I'm not speaking and being facetious. It's some next level shit. And you really got to call on the right entity. You got to call on the right energy. You have to conjure up that right light, if you will, or you're not depossessing that person. You can actually become the host. And I've witnessed that too. I witnessed exorcists improperly performing exorcism, and then they get, goddamn it, embodied by the spirit. The spirit jumps on them, type shit. Yeah, the destiny swapped with demonic possessions is different. And you learn something about purity, you learn something about light, and you learn that this shit is not a game. If you are forced to do an exorcism and you watch somebody that's demonically possessed in real fucking time, my niggas, this is not no kiddie shit. And it's very hard to explain to people who have not experienced the real and reality of it that it's not kiddie shit. Because everybody else is playing around with it. So you might think that it's a plaything. But it's really not. Right? It's really not. And then you learn how fragile, how weak the demons are. That it's all a farce. That they really don't have control. They have resilience and they're stubborn. And you know, they swear that they have their host tied up, but they're not that powerful. The greatest commandment, Mark 12:28. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are badly mistaken. Now, one of the scribes had come up and heard their debate. Noticing how well Jesus had answered them, he asked him, which commandment is the most important of all? Jesus replied, this is the most important. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. All right, so he hit him with that. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your mind and with all of your strength. That's the greatest commandment of them all. Right? Love thy God, love thyself. Right? And you will get a clearer understanding to your relationship of how you embody that aspect of divinity or the kingdom of Christ is within. Right? If you don't get to know you, you're never going to figure that part out. Or it won't even make sense. It won't register. Luke 12:28. Do not worry. Consider how the lilies grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all of his glory was adorned like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not be concerned about what you will eat or drink, Do not worry about it. Feel me? We'll do a cross correlation. Isaiah 46, a voice says, cry out. And I ask, why, what should I cry about? All flesh is like grass, and all its glory like the flower of the field. The grass withers and the flowers fall when the breath of the Lord blows on them. Indeed, the people are grass. The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of our God stands forever. Right? Because God is the word, and the word is a four-letter word, and it's Yahweh. I am that I am. John 12:28. Jesus predicts his death, right? Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say, Father? Save me from this hour. No, it is for this purpose that I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven. I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. The crowd standing there heard it and said that it had thundered. Others said that an angel had spoken to him. So it's like, yeah, did they catch Jesus unexpectedly, my nigga? Did he have a date with destiny? Was the shit already written in the heavens? Of course it was, according to what scripture says about how these things are already preordained, that you already came here and everything was already prepackaged, right? So what's the mystery? Psalms 29:3, the voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders, the Lord is heard over many waters, right? So that again, that aspect of what the word represents, and the fact that they said that, in the beginning there was the word, and they said that in the beginning there was darkness here first. And they said that the word traversed the waters of the ocean before there was light. Before they said, let there be light, my nigga, there was darkness. But the word persevered, the word or the logos, which is looked upon in pejorative terms as the light, still existed amongst the darkness across the dark black faces of the water. And the water's memory. And the water also, it replicates. So whatever the word is, the water is going to crystallize that. It's going to intentionally be in the water, right? On some Dr. Emoto ish. And then when you are composed of those waters, then you are now encased with the word, because the word is encased in the water, frozen up like glaciers. Acts 28:12, we're going to invert to 12:28. Paul arrives in Italy. After 3 months, we sail in an Alexandrian ship that had withered in the island. It had the twin brothers as a figurehead. Putting in at Syracuse, we stayed there 3 days. From there, we weighed anchor and came to Rhegium. After one day, a south wind came up, and on the second day, we arrived at Puteoli. Petioli. That's kind of deep. There you got Pablo in this, you got the twin brothers, and you got Syracuse, right? That 44 bastion. You know, Syracuse is so synonymous with the number 44 that they got it in their zip code. And not by chance, they did it on purpose, because they have something that Syracuse called the Legend of 44. Paul starts his mission in 44 AD in Antioch, spreading the good word, right? The good word, or the good news, which is called the gospel. All of this happened in 44. Jesus' ministry lasted for 44 months and 4 days. Okay? God is a number. God is a number. We'll do a cross reference and keep it moving. Acts 27:21. After the men had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up amongst them and said, "Men, you should have followed my advice not to sail from Crete. Then you would have averted this disaster and loss. But now I urge you to keep up your courage, because you will not experience any loss of life, but only of the ship. For just last night, an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me." Let's get into Romans. We're almost there. We're almost there, y'all. Thank you for sticking it out, hanging out with us on this journey for epilogue 143, right? God is a 4-letter word, and his number is 26. Romans 12:10, love, zeal, hope, hospitality. Love must be sincere, detest what is evil, cling to what is good, be devoted to one another in brotherly love, outdo yourselves in honoring one another. Do not let your zeal subside. Keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Now imagine if that was a challenge amongst our community, amongst our culture, to outdo one another, right? To outdo one another in honoring one another. Like, go out of your way. Like, not just my nigga. You feel me? But a little bit more than that. We owe it to ourselves, right? To have better greetings, better ways to honor and celebrate one another. I'm not taking nothing away from that. I'm just saying, outdoing one another, right? Showing up in honor of one another. That's some deep shit. I think that we will all benefit from something like that, if it's sincere. 1 John 4:7. Beloved, let us love one another, because love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. This is how God's love was revealed amongst us. God sent his one and only Son into the world so that we might live through him. His only begotten to get gotten. God sent his only begotten to get gotten. That's how much he loves you. 1 Corinthians 12:28. The greater gifts. Now you are the body of Christ, and each of you is a member of it. And in the church, God has appointed first of all apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then workers of miracles, and those with gifts of healing, helping, administration, and various tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all work miracles? No. But there are those amongst us who have been appointed to do such, right? Know your role, know your calling, know your powers, know your gifts, embrace them. You know what I'm saying? It's your time, 2026. 26 is the number of God. Why is it not your year? Why are you not proclaiming that? What is your New Year resolutions? 2026, I'm owning all of it. How about that? Right? The universe has conspired for my success. I've been put in a position to reap the best blessings. Let that be our proclamation. Believe that shit though. Right? Fuck a midterm. Fuck a Trump administration. Fuck what they doing. Fuck a ICE. Fuck any of that stuff. Right? 2026 is here to serve me in the best way possible. 2026 is here to be the support for my dreams. 2026 is when I achieve singularity with the Supreme. Yeah, that's 2026. Right? Let's speak some. Let's put some ashe on it. Right? Let's lift it with our word. Let's make sure when that glimmer of light pierces through the cloud and it inaugurates the beginning of a new year, that you are at the front of the line to be the recipient of it. because you did the homework and you understand what this process of rebirth and regeneration is about. You know that it's not spring, but you also know that as Saturn, as the sower of seeds, and as the reaper of the reward or the reaper of the harvest, it's also incumbent upon you to put a seed in the soil, even during the stillness of winter, even during the darkness of night, even during the death period, right? It's incumbent upon you to participate in the cycles of rebirth and renewal. You feel me? Not just lay there and have arguments with people about what the new year is versus what it's not. Put in work now, and then you will reap the rewards come new year, at the first sign of spring, at the first sign of the new harvest. Right? Be amongst the counted. Put in the work. Romans 12:6. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. If one's gift is prophecy, let him use it in proportion to his faith. If it is serving, let him serve. And if it's teaching, let him teach. If it is encouraging, let him encourage. If it is giving, let him give generously. If it is leading, let him lead with diligence. If it is in showing mercy, let him do so cheerfully. You feel me? We need all different variants. We need all different variations of what it looks like, right? We need to do the work necessary to reestablish our brand globally, right? Whether that's a brand of blackness, whether that's a Moorish brand, however you want to spin it and skin it, my nigga, right? It needs to be refurbished. It needs to be reupholstered. And it needs to be reintroduced, right? All of these magnanimous, magnificent, melanated members that we have amongst our delegation, right? You let them people utilize their myth-making machine to take a martyr, a third, fourth tier reject like a Charlie Kirk, and position this motherfucker like he was on equal to MLK this year. Give yourself permission, right? Give yourself permission in 2026 to transcend all of your expectations and imaginations. Feel me? And we won't need nobody forcing folklore down the throats of the population. They will bear witness, right, to the good works. They will bear witness to it. Paul's thorn in God's grace. This is 2 Corinthians 12:10. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly in my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest on me. That is why, for the sake of Christ, I delight in weaknesses and insults and hardships and persecutions and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I have become a fool, but you drove me to it. In fact, you should have commended me, since I am in no way inferior to those super apostles, even though I am nothing. Okay? Do you understand? I don't want to hear about what the challenges next year are. I don't want to hear about the midterms. I don't want to hear about MAC. I don't want to hear about the death code. I don't want to hear about none of that shit. I don't want to hear about Turning Point. I don't want to hear about what the fuck Candace Owen thinks. No disrespect, right? I don't want to hear about Trump and what he's doing in Nigeria and Venezuela and Colombia and any places, right? All of it is just set up to make a better version of you. If those are the things that you consider to be challenges, if those are the things that you consider to be adversities, if those are the things that you consider to be hurdles, you feel me? Then welcome the challenge. Then leap the hurdle, my nigga. Kick it over if you need to. Fuck that shit. Just don't be stuck. Right? All of that is setting up the criteria to let you know where the springboard is going to be at for you to take a quantum leap in 2026. And 26 is the number of God. And if you were made in the image of God, then you also are a tetragrammaton. You also are a four-letter word. You also have Yahweh in you. You have to go and figure out now what Yahweh is. What do each one of those four letters represent? And when you put them together, my nigga, how do they formulate man? Arm, leg, arm, head, right? What about the tree of life that has four worlds in it? So if God is a four-letter word, but then reality itself is constructed out of four worlds, you feel me? Now you're cooking with hot grease. Now you're a little bit closer to figuring this shit out. It's the fours, right? You got to reconcile the fours within you, or the cycles, or the seasons, or the squares. What are your squares? What are your challenges? Do you know your chart? Have you done the homework, the due diligence? And I'm not being facetious. I'm not talking down to you. I'm not speaking to you like you don't know. If you don't know, then you don't know. It's not a crime. I'm just saying these are the things that you should focus your attention on. I'm preaching to the choir. I spent a lot of time this year, right, watching what the fuck Candace Owens said about Charlie Kirk. I spent a lot of time looking at all of these exposés exposing Erica Kirk as a fucking liar. I spent a lot of time paying attention to shit that has no residual return on my reality. You know what I'm saying? So you may be in that grouping as well. But that should be in addition to, did you finish your breakfast? Did you finish your homework? Did you do all of the things that was needed and necessary for you to know yourself before you went and did the extra shit, getting to know about somebody else after they fucking gone? Have you put that same amount of attention into you? So I'm just saying, there are tools available for you to get closer to your personal gnosis of self, right? Shout out to my brother Malik Deshawn. He just dropped an amazing app, right? A cardology app called Castrology for Life. And I geek off of the opportunity to get to know things about myself. For my gnosis, me looking at me and learning about me and better understanding why I do the things that I do, or what the probabilities or possibilities are for me to do certain things going forward. So I want to be the subject matter expert on me. I want the same for you about you. And then we could get together and compare notes about what we know about one another. And then that will better help us have a better approach when we have the audacity to attempt to speak on knowing somebody else, my nigga. Because how, Sway? How the fuck can you know somebody else? You can't tell me everything that I need to know about you. And you live with you. But yeah, I'll drop the link in the chat. We're gonna do a show with bro, because he totally went to bat with this app right here. And I learned more about myself in a few days. And you be swearing you know it all. You know what I'm saying? But I be goddamn, I'm like, there's more to know. There's more to learn. There's more to get to. There's more to get to. What an amazing fucking thing to know that there's more to get to. You know what I mean? That's exciting. So I just wanted to share that excitement with you. So Paul said, therefore I will boast all the more gladly in my weaknesses, right? The things that I know that I need to work on, I ain't scared to talk about them, right? Whereas, what's the use of me continuously talking about the things that I've already mastered? It's like, and that become overbearing maybe at some point. You shouldn't be scared to speak on it, But it's like, where are you focusing on where the work needs to be done? I am in 2 Corinthians 12:10. Right now I'm in 2 Corinthians 12:10. And the chapter of that is Paul's thorn and God's grace. And I'll read it one more time. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, right? For my power is perfected in weakness. And it's almost like the gym. What are you in the gym for? What are you, if you're not working on something, if you have not identified a particular muscle group that you need to strengthen, then you're just spinning your wheels. And you're in the gym for conditioning and not necessarily strength training or growing, just conditioning, meaning that you're stabilizing what you already got just to make sure that you remain agile and shit like that. But if you actually want to grow, if you actually want to challenge yourself, if you actually want results, then you got to go and find the things that you need to work on. And you can't be coy about it. Yo, I need my bench to be a little bit better, right? Then this is me, dead ass. I need my bench to maximize. So there's certain things that I need to do that are gonna be uncomfortable. That I need to work around those things. The muscles that are here, you know what I'm saying? I need there's just certain things that I need to hyper focus on to work on to make that a possibility. And I shouldn't feel no way about those things because I showed up to do the work. It's the same thing that they're saying in terms of this information, right? The spiritual edification, the spiritual transformation that we're all going through individually and collectively. My grace is sufficient for you. For my power is perfected in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly in my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest on me. That is why, for the sake of Christ, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, and hardships, and persecutions, and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I have become a fool, but you drove me to it. In fact, you should have commended me, since I am in no way inferior to those super apostles, even though I am nothing. And it took me forever to get to this place, right? It took me forever to get to this place. And I'm 50, so I might be speaking to people in the audience that are considerably younger than me, and I might be speaking to my elders, right? And some people may still not have gotten to that place. And that place that I'm speaking of is being comfortable with hearing things about yourself that are not necessarily delightful, that are not necessarily the most delightful things. Being observed in the eyes of other people, and then they come and tell you the things that they've seen, right? And it might not be the most affording or rewarding information, but you're still able to transmute. You're still not able to turn into a bitch because somebody done told you something about yourself that you don't want to look in the mirror and see and own up to, right? Nigga, you can do better, right? You need to do better. I created a whole paradigm around myself that I allowed people around me to tell me that I could do better. Even when the shit might even look perfect, don't ever tell me that. Don't ever tell me that, right? Keep pushing me. And I promise not to push back with the attitude to show up where it's confrontational, because that's who I used to be, right? And I'm surrounded by that shit and other people that I get to see what deflection looks like and how it can hold a whole thing back. It can hold transformation. It can arrest your development. It can subject a people to being subservient. You can fuck around and miss the boat and the train, right? Being following people who are masters of what's that shit? They are masters of delusion. They are masters of deflection. Okay? I don't want that. 2 Corinthians. We'll do a cross reference that will keep it moving, right? James 1:2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you encounter trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Allow perseverance to finish its works, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Right? You want to bake the whole cake through and through, not just look like it's baked. You want to get it out the goddamn oven and be able to, put a knife through it and it go all the way through, right? It's the same thing with your lessons. You feel me? Undergo the necessary pain and the pressure to create the diamond. You can't fast track it. You can't skip steps, my nigga. You got to go through the fire. Feel me? But we here for you. That's the beautiful part of it. On the other side of the fire, right? But we're here to gird you on and to tell you that, yeah, that flame is not going to kill you. It's just going to change you. It's just going to change you. It's just going to transform you. It's not going to kill you. It's just going to transform you. And sometimes you need somebody there to remind you of that shit. Sometimes you need somebody there to remind you of that shit. An unshakable kingdom, Hebrews 12:28. We're almost there. The words once more signify the removal of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that the unshakable may remain. I'll repeat that. The words once more signify the removal of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that the unshakable may remain. Therefore, since we are receiving an unshakable kingdom, let us be filled with gratitude, so our worship God acceptably, and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. For our God is a consuming fire. I'll make this proclamation or a cross reference that will keep it moving. Psalms 93:1. The Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty. The Lord has clothed and armed himself with strength. The world indeed is firmly established. It cannot be moved. Your throne was established long time ago. You are from all eternity. And you all are from all eternity. You all are from you. I don't look, I don't care where you were geographically born or where you find yourself physically located at this particular time, right? You all are from eternity, from a time before time. How do we know? I can show it to you. That water in your body is ancient. They can't put a number in it, right? That stardust that you was composed of in physical matter, can't put a time on that, my nigga. But that light spark that's inside of you, and this way this shit might start sounding like um mumbo jumbo, right? Even though it takes the most egregious amounts of imagination for you to keep up with any of this shit that I'm saying is coming out of the Bible, right? The most unprecedented level of arresting of logic and an incorporation of imagination is needed for you to do this shit that I'm doing right here, or to even like be into the Bible. Okay? Because it's totally contradictory to reality. But we all come from a spark of light. We all are animated by a spark of light. And as we keep saying and we showing and proving, the mind is the governor, right? And it's non-corporeal. It don't come from you. It's been here. It's gonna be here. When you leave, it's still gonna be here, right? That soul, that part of us that comes from original source, right? We were all conjoined as one in eternity. The same way that they like to say that this planet had one ocean, or the same way that they like to say that one landmass was here, Pangea, then we were all one people. We all come from one source. And that's where I find my commonality in man. Not in the latest iterations of physical matter, right? But I've been here doing this shit for billions of years, my nigga, if not trillions, right? I've been everything in all of my different incarnations. Who am I to be turning my nose about a version that I've manifested into this planet now, and I'm looking down on another version of myself that I used to be at another point? That's some whack shit. Then I have bought into the illusion, right? Then I'm already lost. Then I'm probably destined to do this shit 3,000 more times, my nigga. I've missed the whole message. But luckily, when I had my Kundalini experience, right, there was an aspect of myself that came back from the future to the past in the Merkaba and reminded me that I'm part of this universe and that there's nothing that's disconnected from me. I'm part and parcel to all things in this universe. So when I move through this bitch, when I'm in my highest state, when I'm in my Christ consciousness, because I be a nigga sometimes, for real, for real. I be in my lower self, right? Because it's a vehicle, my nigga. It's a body, and I choose to. It's like, yeah, I wanna. We on the Titanic, but I'm underneath the ship, right, for 2 weeks, and then sometimes I might be on the deck. Sometimes I might be sometimes I might be mooring the ship. Other times, my nigga, I might be scuba diving at the bottom of that bitch too. Diving for barnacles, right? It's all a ship and it's all a trip. And sometimes you're gonna show up on different tiers of that 4-tier yacht, my nigga. Okay? Give yourself permission to explore the whole shit. And that sums up life. But I ain't gonna be down here acting goofy when I'm in my higher mind and I'm really in remembrance. Yeah, I don't be knocking people on religion. I don't be knocking people on their ethnicity. I don't be knocking people on their sexual orientation, right? I treat everybody like God. You know what I mean? I greet everyone that I see evenly, equanimity, because I reminded myself, and I know I came back and I taught myself how to hack the program to grow confidence, right? Show yourself some shit, and then you go and do it, and then you prove to yourself that it works, and then you do it again, and you prove to yourself that it works, and then you do it so many times that you have no other choice but to know, and then that's where the magic starts happening, right? And I lose consciousness. I lapse into doing mundane mortal shit because of sometimes the company that I keep, right? Or sometimes you want to be in community, and these niggas move like snails when it comes to evolution. So sometimes you go back and you play them games because that's where the people is at. But the highest level, the highest elevated level, what I call my Christ consciousness, yeah, I know that I'm part and parcel to all, and I don't judge because we're all related, and I love you all because I gotta love me. You know what I'm saying? And there's no way around that. I'm talking about to the lowest of us. Yes, I love thy neighbor, even the crackers, even the hillbillies and the magas and all of that shit. I absorb all of that shit in my highest form, right? I don't get caught up in none of it. I love everybody. But I ain't always there. I fall off my horse. Mhm. I sometimes I kick myself off my horse. 1 Peter 2:9. We're about to close up shop. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, to proclaim the virtues of him who called you out of darkness into this marvelous light, right? To this marvelous light. And again, that's about accepting all seasons of our reality, all seasons of our being, right? It's the darkness and it's the light. We are in the dead of winter, and I want people to revel in it. I want people to have a renewed appreciation for what the dead of winter represents. You feel me? I wanna spread that joy. I want to spread that gospel, that good news. That is this our year, is our season. And there's a lot of power in winter, even for melanated people whose anatomy is not necessarily conducive to this climate. There's so much accessibility of power, and not just through hibernation, not just from you resting and being still, even the active principle of renewal, of growing life, of tending soil, of preparing yourself, but really also getting rest, because the sun is resting. The sun is at its lowest energy point, and it's not that it's dead, and it's not that it's weak. It's just recharging, and you should be doing the same thing too. Feel me? 12:10 Revelations, the war in heaven. What better way to end such an amazing presentation? Episode 143. It's really, I'm in my feelings because I'm about to almost be finished. And that's how much I love today's presentation. We almost 3 hours in, and I don't feel no way about it. But y'all should hit that cash app, Miss Harvey 917. But I don't feel no way about it. I don't feel no way about it. If you do or you don't, I don't feel no way about it. I'm not married to none of this shit. The war in heaven, and the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled to the earth, and its angels with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, he who accuses them day and night before our God. They have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives so as to shy away from death. This is one of the most profound stories of the battle of light and dark ever, and I can't say in all of lifetime, because there's many of these stories, but this is the one that we are being transfixed by now. This is the one that we live under, and this is the one that we're being called to have an understanding and overstanding of, so it doesn't run you and ruin you and rule you, right? You have to stand on top of the surfboard in order to ride the wave, my nigga. Can't be underneath the water riding the wave. You're being ridden by it if that's the case. And I don't want my people underwater, right? I don't want my people underwater. I want you to have the information. I want you to have the gnosis. I want you to have the knowledge. I want you to be firm in your understanding so you can stand on that surfboard and you can ride the wave. Okay? 1 Corinthians 15:24 to close this out. Then the end will come when he hands over the kingdom to the God the Father after he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power. For he must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet. Right? Sounds like the Trump administration again. A lot of correlations. Let's see if we can get some out of the Quran real quick. And if not, close up shop. Okay. 1228 in the Holy Quran, peace and blessings be upon the Holy Prophet. 1228. So when a husband saw his shirt torn from the back, he said, indeed, it is of the woman's plan. Indeed, your plan is great. Okay, so this is when they caught the wife scheming, trying to line my guy up, right? And they made a proclamation to see who was lying and who wasn't. And, they found out the woman was laying a trap. So with that, y'all, I definitely want to once again say thank you for joining us for this powerful presentation. 1228 epilogue, episode 143. God is a four-letter word, and his number is 26. Once again, that four-letter word is Yahweh, Yod Had Ved Had. And the numerical equivalency, because Hebrew is an alphanumerical language, the numerical frequency of that equals 26. And 26 is the only number that exists between a square and a cube, right? So that's why 26 is the placeholder numerically that represents this concept of what we know as God, which is just a space holder in the physical reality. And in the Hebraic tradition, the physical reality exists in four worlds, and those four worlds can be viewed on a something called the tree of life. Okay, and that is kind of like where you get your Christmas tree as well. Christmas tree, tree of life correlations. This is all beautiful when we're able to bring it together and not be confused and transfixed by it. You know what I mean? It's beautiful when you can see it for what it is. And I don't want to take anything again from anybody else that has a different understanding or different introduction or indoctrination into this information. I'm just sharing with you what I've been taught, sharing to you what my studies have led me to, and just giving you some extra insight into a very perplexing situation that has confused a lot of people since time immemorial, or at least since they started introducing all this stuff to us. The Christmas tree symbolizes the biblical tree of life, representing eternal life in Jesus Christ, connecting pagan evergreen traditions with Christian theology of resurrection and hope after Adam's sin. While the tree of life in Eden offered eternal life, its loss led to exile. The Christmas tree, a green evergreen, points to Christ as the new source of eternal life, overcoming death, much like the cross was the tree of death leading to life. Its evergreen nature signifies life promise even in winter, a stark contrast to the winter's barrenness, and its traditions stem from paradise plays featuring fir trees decorated with apples, linked directly to Genesis, right? So, even with all of that being said, you feel me? And it all comes together beautifully. As I said, shout out to the farming, the people that are out there that are knowing the evenness and even in the barrenness of winter. I'm out here growing food and loving life. And I couldn't be more excited, to share the end results with you guys. So you as well can tap in and we all can get back just to being producers all four seasons, riding the entire wheel around all four seasons, where we're producers and our productions are getting more profound and more profound. And the ultimate goal, even for this mineral ministries, is to return the chosen people of the Most High God back to their garden, right? Where everything was beautiful, everything was peaceful, where everything was perfect. You feel me? We got to get back to the one. And what better way to do that but with commandeering food as our own devices, producing our food, growing our food, and ultimately, you know, um, doing business with our food. You know what I'm saying? Our food becoming our finances, but our food also being foundational to our functionality. Yes, back to the garden, back to Eden. Okay? Right in your living room. You don't gotta physically show up anywhere. You don't have to relocate. You don't gotta come to the south. You feel me? You can do it right there in the north. But we're gonna have these these homes, these transitional homes in the south as well to welcome you. These healing homes in the south on these lands, nourishing, cherishing, rewarding ourselves by doing the work, by putting our hands in the soil, by fulfilling our contract, our covenant, and our mandate, right? To toil, to pull food out the dirt, my nigga, to put seeds in the soil, to toil and to work the soil so we can live as royals, right? And our women can produce and bear fruit, right? And with that, y'all, once again, I want to say thank you. If you feel it in your heart, you can please make a donation to $ Miss Harvey 917 MSHARVEY 917. And yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get permission from the young lady, Blue Dream. I would love for us to do an episode on this cardology app and the things that we have been able to unlock about our personal relationship by looking at this information, comparing notes with the things that we know about ourselves and what we've been through. Um, what better way to test technology? What better way to test an app that is telling you these magnanimous things about yourself? What better way to test it but against the things that you know about yourself, the things that you have receipts for? That I reverse engineer certain things. I'd be like, okay, you saying that it does this and that. Well, I'll put a back date in there, get an incident, and go and make an observation and comparison. So this app has been on point. You feel me? And it's really, really, really been giving amazing results. And we good. So I want this for y'all, you know. And we good, but you can never know enough. You know what I'm saying? You can never know enough. So I'm gonna constantly be going back to this app and getting insight, better insight, you know, and I recommend the same. So yeah, like I said, Passion, we got to talk, Passion. My guy, you was just on my timeline. That's crazy. Please, man, shoot me a DM, and I'm gonna reach out to you. Appreciate y'all, right? Appreciate y'all so much. You just have no idea. And my guy right here, I'm gonna tell a story, man, before I leave this demonstration. My guy, Passion, his parents come from Haiti. He's a first generation, you know, descendant of some very powerful Haitians. And I remember going to his house, and he had his father had a picture on the wall of Pope John Paul. You know what I mean? And there was an aspect of reverence and respect. Now, again, I always tell you that I'm able to see the efficacy and the power of religion through the children, the people that is impacted the most. You feel me? So there was there was something about this brother Passion um in our community where he was a friend of all people. He was a people person and people loved him. They got along with him in an amazing way. You know what I'm saying? And I would ask him like what was your upbringing like? Like how was you raised? You know, what was the principles that were instilled in your household that you could come out here in the jungle amongst, you know, the wildebeest and humanize them. Feel me? And I have a tendency to believe that it was the strong backbone of how Haitians in particular were able to utilize Christianity specifically by way of Catholicism and their thorough understanding of African traditional systems and the overlay and the interplay that takes place between that, and they were able to become magical people. So I was honored and blessed to grow up in Flatbush, Brooklyn, of all places, a very diverse place. But my earlier education came by way of observing the strength of Haitian Americans during a time when there was a program out for them. And what a program is, it's a word that comes out of Germany when they were hunting the Jews, and the Jews were being persecuted just for being Jews. Haitians were being persecuted in my community just for being Haitians. And what they're trying to do right now to the Somalians with politics, it's the same thing that Reagan did with the Haitians with politics. They had our people, and when I say our people, I mean like the FBAs and people that were already here, right? They did not. They were very fearful of Haitians because they bought into the quote unquote hysteria. They brought into the myth making. Okay, they brought into the myth making. This young man on the screen right here, named Tony Anthony Lindor, he was amongst a group of Haitians early in the 90s who turned the tide, who turned the wave on how Haitians were dealt with and appreciated in our community because they started putting in pain. They started they started putting on for their people, and they became so likable, right? That they were able to collapse the wave everywhere that they went. There's nowhere that I showed up with Tony that people didn't love Tony, that Tony didn't own the room. He humanized his people, right? He brought a level of respect to his people just from him being unfuckwittable that you had no choice but to look at Haitians differently. Passion did the same thing, right? Wycliffe will come along later and do the same thing, right? I mean, and these are things that I lived through, that I physically bore witness to, the turning of tides, um, hate turning into homage. You feel me? I seen it in a lifetime to know that this shit can be done, right? So why stop now? What else can we change in this lifetime? I got breath in my body. I want to exhaust this shit on the most magnanimous things possible, right? Because I'm not gonna get a second opportunity in this body in this time to get this shit done. So I'm here to work. Appreciate you all. Peace, love, and light. And I'm gonna see y'all for epilogue 144 in the new year. And with that, y'all, peace.